सरकार ने आगामी खरीफ की सभी अधिघोषित फसलों का न्यूनतम समर्थन मूल्य उत्पादन लागत से कम 1.5 गुना करने का फैसला ले लिया है। I propose to the earmark allocation of 56,619 crore for SCs and 39,135 crore for STs in the BE of 2018-19.
विकास की कल्पना और विकास दोनों को देश के सबसे गरीब व्यक्ति तक पहुंचाना, किसान तक पहुंचाना, गांव तक पहुंचाना, दलित, आदिवासी और मजदूर तक पहुंचाने के लिए इस बजट में ढेर सारी चीजों का समावेश किया गया है।
It's an insurance scheme, but to cover it by insurance, there must be a premium, no? Where is the premium provided for?
सभी के चेहरे पर एक प्रश्न चिन्ह रहा है कि सचमुच ये बजट देश को, किसानों को क्या देने जा रहा है या सिर्फ कागज पे।
Good evening. Yes, indeed, that's a big question being raised on a day when Union Budget 2018, for all practical purposes, the last budget of Modi Sarkar, in this edition of Modi Sarkar at least, on this day, questions, questions and questions. For some, this is nothing else but a straightforward election-oriented budget which has been presented. For some, it's an election manifesto. For others, it's just an admission being made by Prime Minister Modi that maybe for the last 4 years, he did not take some steps which he should have taken, and perhaps those steps are now beginning to harm him. Steps which were related to the welfare of rural classes, the welfare of farmers. Over the next 1 hour, top ministers, top decision makers, opinion makers and policy watchers, all of them telling you the big political picture. How does Budget 2018 actually impact the functioning of Modi Sarkar, impact the political territory? Let's straight away run you through a very detailed breakup of the commitments which have been made and whether those commitments which have been made by the Prime Minister in this budget, whether those commitments are in a position to be implemented. So let's look at the biggest of them all, Modi Care, on lines of Obamacare. It's supposed to be the world's biggest universal healthcare program. What's the commitment? Reimbursement up to 5 lakh rupees under National Health Scheme. What's the government's argument? It's a step towards universal health coverage. It will generate lakhs of jobs. But what's the reality? The reality is someone has got to pay the money. Outlay of 2,000 crore rupees, but total fund required is 50 lakh crore rupees. You're talking about budgeting insurance premium for 50 crore people to be given insurance cover of 5 lakh rupees each. That's the math. That's the difference which exists in the math. The second big commitment which has been made, minimum support price for farmers. Again, something which has been on the table, which has been a discussion point for a while. Proposal is higher minimum support price for low cost farming. Government's argument, key step towards doubling farmers' income by 2022, a commitment which has been made by the Prime Minister. But what's the reality? Only 6% farmers will end up benefiting from this increase, 1.5 times increase. And if it was to be increased, will it not lead to inflationary measures? That's a question which the government must answer. The third big commitment, fiscal deficit. Fiscal deficit pegged to 3.5%, projected at 3.3% for the financial year 2018-19. The government's argument, it's a legacy issue, and the government believes that the decline is possible, but it's a gradual process because they have been impacted, they've been hurt by a lot of baggage from the UPA years. Now, what's the reality? Reality, folks, is this, and something which was acknowledged by the Chief Economic Advisor, Mr. Arvind Subramanian, as well, that if oil prices increase, as they've been increasing, then the commitment which has been shown by the government, all this commitment may simply go out of the window. How are all these commitments working out on the political front? The income tax proposal, that's the next big commitment which has been made. Again, the focus clearly is somehow to try and tell the voter that the BJP is still in a position in which they can get the support. So proposal is cess to be raised from current 3% to 4%. Government's argument is it is meant for education and health of below poverty lines. But what's the reality? middle classes have been ignored. Who will ultimately pay this 3% to 4%? Who will ultimately pay for even the increase in the long-term capital gains tax? People like you and me, people who actually end up paying EMIs and who end up being described as the EMI class. That's the next point as well. The next commitment, capital gains tax proposal 10%. Let's levy 10%. Our panelists telling us that it will end up having a retrospective effect. Government not buying that. Government's argument is that there are surpluses in equity markets. Finance Minister has gone on to say that a total of 3,67,000 crore rupees have been made by corporates. So why should you not pay? What's the reality? It will discourage 2.4 million new demat account holders. Likes of Adi Godrej and Deepak Parekh have said that this move will end up creating a negative environment for any investor who wanted to invest in India. The election story then. Budget proposals, all these commitments being made on a day when crucial by-poll results came out, and what a story it has been. The Congress has got 3 seats now in Rajasthan, a state which is election bound this year, ruled by Vasundhara Raje, and a state in which seats like Ajmer and Alwar were won by the Bharatiya Janata Party in 2014 by margins of over 1 lakh votes. This is the state where the Karni Sena has been at its peak over the last couple of weeks. Has all that impacted Vasundhara Raje's performance? Something that needs to be looked out for closely. In West Bengal though, the story is far more encouraging for the BJP, where in 2 assembly constituencies where by-polls were being held, the BJP has moved up to 2nd spot, whereas the Congress and the left parties have been reduced to 3rd and 4th spots. This is what's been happening. But the BJP clearly, West Bengal is a sweet spot, yes, but Rajasthan is a bad spot. It's a problem area, and the other problem area for the Bharatiya Janata Party now is its allies. What does it do with allies like the Shiv Sena and the TDP, who are now going public with the resentment and the criticism against the government? The TDP has called for a meeting this Sunday where it wants to decide its next course of action. The Shiv Sena has gone public. Uddhav Thackeray's son, Aditya Thackeray, the newly appointed president of the Sena, has put out a tweet, and he's saying that he'd like to know where this 40,000 crores which has been promised by the government in this budget for upgradation of infrastructure in Mumbai, how is that money going to come from, and whether there are any more cesses which are going to be levied on people of Mumbai if they have to get that money. So serious questions being raised. TDP, Shiv Sena, both upset. If both of them are upset, the straight question which arises out of that, and that's the big blunt question tonight, is this budget 2018, simply put, the clearest possible sign of simultaneous polls this year itself? It's a statement, it's a wish which has been expressed by the Prime Minister on multiple occasions in the past, as recently as just a couple of days back when the Parliament session began. The President has taken a similar position as well. Let's see whether we can come to some kind of a conclusion. Our studio panelists here, and we'll be joined in just a short while from now by the Minister of State in the Prime Minister's office as well. Zafar Islam is representing the Bharatiya Janata Party. Gaurav Gogoi representing the Congress Party. Mahua Mitra, spokesperson of the Trinamool Congress, as I said, here with us in our studios. Ila Patnaik, Ajoy Bose and Shankar Iyer. Welcome to all of you on the program. Let me first begin with you, Zafar Islam. My straight question is this, that the TDP wants to decide its future of its alliance with you on Sunday. The Shiv Sena is not happy with your budget. Shiv Sena has already announced that it wants to go on its own in 2019. Why are the allies so upset with you just a year to go before the next Lok Sabha elections?
See, allies are independent political party. Bhupen, and they can have a difference of opinion, or they can have opinion of their own. That doesn't that doesn't mean that they are separating from the alliance, or they are having a stand which is contrary to what BJP is taking for as far as the upcoming 2019 election I'm talking about. So I think I will leave it at that, because this alliance dharma at least suggests us that we should not speak in public, because there is something which the leadership talks with each other, and that is something which they will take a call on. But
that. You look at, look at Shiv Sena, spokesperson, Shiv Sena Rajya Sabha MP. Now I can take it with a pinch of salt, and I can say that Shiv Sena keeps making these statements, but in a budget which is being described by Prime Minister Modi himself as a budget which is specifically meant for the rural people, meant for poor farmers, Shiv Sena wants to say that there is nothing in it for the farmers, that there is nothing in it for anyone, it is purely on paper. Why are they trying to embarrass you on this day, which is budget day, sir?
Let me tell you one thing, and very candidly I would say, any political party, or for that matter anybody who is anti-poor, anti-farmer will make that kind of a statement, because this is a historic budget, it is a very balanced budget, it's a growth-oriented budget, but it is focused on farmers, for farmer, it is focused on poor, and they are the, this budget is targeting them and empowering them. All their concerns have been addressed. Besides focusing on education, which is social sector reform,
Mahua Mitra, your party's victory margin in Bengal elections only seems to be increasing with each election. The gap between the Trinamool Congress and the BJP is in the region of lakhs of votes in the bypolls which have been held. But Zafar Islam here wants the country to believe that it's the BJP which is squarely on the side of the poor people, that this budget is a pro-poor budget. Do you buy that argument for a moment, Mahua?
No, I don't buy the argument, and it's very clear now that finally the people on the ground are also not buying his argument. The BJP have created a bubble for themselves, and that bubble is bursting, and sooner or later they'll come and realize what's happening, because we've had two bypolls, apart from the bypolls in Rajasthan, which of course the Congress have won quite sort of significantly. If you look at our margin in Uluberia, which is just one constituency, it's almost in the region of 5 lakh votes. So that's, I mean, yes, they've come second, but when you've come second by a margin of 5 lakh votes, does it matter? Even Noapada, we've got a margin of 63,000 votes in one assembly constituency. And I think on the back of this budget, some would, even for the BJP's core constituents, I don't think the BJP has managed to even appease them in an election year. So I don't think on the back of this budget they'll be able to reap any benefits whatsoever, and it's just going to be a downward slide. You don't think
that this Modi care, you don't think the universal health scheme, one more. Don't you think, Mahua, that the universal health care which is being announced, the 1.5 times the hike in minimum support prices, don't you think that it will maybe help the rural classes, rural farmers in favor of the BJP?
Bhupen, if it were Bhupen, there's a saying which says, "Kya khushi se mar na jate agar etbar hota." So I think the problem with the BJP is that they've put out so much. They put out, when they came to power, they said they'll have 2 crore jobs a year. For example, we had our budget day before yesterday, and we've said that we will increase the outlay for disability pensions. X number of people will get 1,000 rupees a month. We've allocated 250 crores. For something else, for our particular program, Kanyashri, we've allocated 1,200 crores. So you have a government which has come out and said we will give everyone, 10 lakh families, 5 lakh coverage up to a year, and the allocation is 2,000 crores.
So therefore, Zafar,
how do you think they're going to be able to do this?
Look at how 2017 ends.
I don't think that they don't have the numbers to back it up.
2017 ends with you witnessing a 10% drop in your vote share in Gujarat in comparison to the last Lok Sabha election. 2018 begins with you losing seats in Rajasthan, which you had won by margins of over 1 lakh. And yes, you may have done well in Bengal. You may have done well in Bengal. I'm giving you credit for that. But don't you think that there is a message which is being sent to you perhaps by the rural farmers whom you are now aggressively trying to woo, Zafar Islam?
See, Bhupen, as far as bipolar in Rajasthan is concerned, we know that the anti-incumbency sets in Rajasthan every time, every 5 years you see this kind of thing happening in Rajasthan. It's not that first time it has happened. But we are absolutely confident that as we go closer to election date, we will definitely be able to address.
You don't think that there is a larger national story which is coming to you? Is there a larger national message which the voter of rural India is trying to send to the BJP?
Not at all. Not at all. In fact, on the contrary, the popularity of Bharatiya Janata Party has gone up. Even in Gujarat, our vote percentage has increased rather than has come off, as you mentioned, because our vote share in Gujarat had gone up compared to last election. But one more thing which I would like to tell you, which Mahua has raised about the allocation of fund. See, the finance minister as well as the Niti Aayog vice chairman and many of other government functionaries have already clarified this, that the allocation, how it will come, has already been worked out. The funding pattern is not an issue at all.
No, I've spent enough time. I've spent enough time trying to work out the funding pattern. But I want to specifically look at the politics. I'll quickly go to Gaurav Gogoi and then to my other studio panelists as well. Gaurav, Zafar Islam refuses to believe. One more. Zafar Islam refuses to believe, Gaurav. Zafar Islam refuses to believe that this is a budget which has been made specifically to allay fears, perhaps which are being expressed by the poorer sections of India. This Rajasthan result which has come, and Yashwant Deshmukh, C voter, is already predicting, if the trends hold, a massive victory for the Congress party in Rajasthan. What do you think is going wrong for the BJP and what's working for the Congress party?
Well, clearly rural India is in distress. If you see in Gujarat as well, Congress did exceedingly well in rural Gujarat. Even the farmers there who are doing cashew nut farming were unhappy with the BJP government, and so is rural Rajasthan as well. So this is basically what Congress has been talking about since day one, that there is a rural distress. And in every budget over the last 5 years, BJP keeps saying that it's been a pro-farmer budget. Which of the last 5 budgets have not been a pro-farmer budget as announced by the BJP? But yet, if you go as per the economic survey, look at the state of agriculture in our country. The real incomes in agriculture have stagnated. Growth in agriculture has come down. Jobs is at an all-time low. So this budget continues in the same trend of tall promises, but only on paper. It does nothing for growth. It does nothing for jobs. And unfortunately, even the fiscal deficit roadmap, which the Finance Minister Arun Jaitley himself committed to in the last budget, he has strayed away from it, thereby damaging India's reputation in international investor markets.
Ajoy,
and this fiscal
is this just
will also have an impact on
I'm trying to understand. I'm just trying to understand in the context of what Chandrababu Naidu and Shiv Sena are attempting to do, and maybe there are more allies. There are, there is in Bihar there is a small party which is a part of the NDA, but is also now speaking out against the budget. I'm just trying to understand whether there is a bigger crisis which exists in rural India, which has not been captured, which has not been understood by the BJP.
Bhupen, this is what we saw a glimpse of this in Gujarat. The Rajasthan results are very significant, I think. And I think the allies of the BJP are also sensing a certain vulnerability of the NDA to this rural distress. And I think the perception of the farmers have been this. Now, one of the big problems, Bhupen, is that this budget very specifically tries to address this issue. The problem is that the way they've tried to address it, now farmers are not fools.
They won't take this lollipop. 1.5 times increase in MSP.
No, Bhupen. The thing is that they will see whether they're benefiting in reality.
I want to know.
You see, I think
what's the economic reality? What's the economic reality? Let's be clear. UPA Sarkar also promised 70,000 crore loan waiver. We saw what happened. Do these things actually work on the ground, Ila?
See, every pre-election budget is typically expansionary.
Right.
So there's nothing new about this budget also being expansionary. There's always this tightrope walk between all your focus areas, things that you want to do, and trying to keep the fiscal deficit under control. Because if you it's very good to spend on health, on rural, on farmers, on credit, on middle class, tax SOPs and so on, and we all agree that those should be priorities. The problem arises that you can't really go beyond a limit on either hiding them, or hiding those expenses, or on borrowing, because if you do that, then your macro stability starts.
Can I I know Mohua Mitra, Gaurav Gogoi and Zafar Islam are on the OB, so probably they don't have a monitor in front of them, but I'll try and explain to you. There is a picture which has been tweeted by Shankar Iyer, and I want my producers to put that picture up, because this exactly makes the point that Ela Patnaik is trying to raise here, that this budget could well be a story where numbers are projecting a reality which may not exist, whether it's the math behind the universal healthcare scheme, and that's the image which has been tweeted by Shankar. Shankar, you want to tell our viewers exactly what is the point you're trying to make here?
So there is an entry in the income tax, in the direct tax collections, called surcharge. There is a surcharge on corporate tax and there is a surcharge on personal income tax. The surcharge on corporate income tax has gone up by X%, which looks reasonable. The surcharge on personal income tax has jumped from 9,000 odd crores to 36,000 odd
Surcharge on personal income tax.
personal income
From
tax.
9,000 crores to
36,000 crores.
36,000 crores.
Now
And this you've got from the budget document now.
It is in the budget document. And I have been trying through the afternoon to ask people as to what is it that activity on which this surcharge is levied.
Which will lead to 400 times.
4 times activity.
Let's put that question to Zafar Islam. Zafar, even if you can't see this image, I can tell you that this is when Shankar Iyer, you know, the known economist that he is, he was going through this entire budget document, and this is the picture that he has picked up. 4 times increase in surcharge on personal income tax from 9,000 crores to 36,000 crores. Now Shankar Iyer's argument is that from where is this figure of 36,000 crores coming? Can you throw some light on this, Zafar?
Well, I have not seen that number of 36,000 crore, but let me tell you that as far as surcharge is concerned, that the existing surcharge of 3% has been increased to 4%, and that will translate, as far as I remember having heard the government officials speaking about it, that it will translate into actual realization of 11,000 crore.
Right.
So I see some disconnect in terms of number what he mentioned and number what I heard.
Yeah.
But
What you are talking about is the cess. That's separate. This is a surcharge that is probably levied on tax violation, evasion, whatever.
So either there are going to be raids. Let's be clear.
So then
either there will be raids, either there will be, you know, and that's why I'm saying that maybe this is a budget which has taken a very strong position against the middle classes. I mean, if you're violating law, of course you need to be dealt with.
I'm sorry, but I have not seen this budget document of it.
Yeah, it's a very quizzical number which somebody needs to explain.
Yeah, amongst other numbers. But let's move beyond. And I want to go back to Mohua Mitra on that one. You know, Mohua, we've spent the better part of this evening today trying to understand how will this universal healthcare scheme, which has been announced today with great fanfare, how is this going to be backed up? But I want to know, at a time when the BJP may have witnessed this rout in Rajasthan, and the BJP may have its own internal crisis, within the opposition, is the opposition united? Even in this parliament session, I am seeing Sharad Pawar organizes one meeting, one group of opposition leaders go. I see Sonia Gandhi organizes one meeting, one group of opposition leaders go. Don't you think time has come in 2018 for all of you to be united if you want to take on the BJP?
Bhupendra, I remember being on a show with you in November 2016, just after demonetization. I think I was on an OB from Lucknow, and you asked me this exact same question, saying that, you know, demonetization can't be that bad because all of you opposition people can't seem to come together. And I want to make one point very clear, that this is the largest thriving democracy in the world. Every political party has to answer to its own constituents before it has to answer to each other. Please remember. So as all of us follow our conscious and our own political paths, we know that what the BJP is doing is wrong for our country. How we act on it and how we sort of you know, mobilize resources to come together may differ from party to party.
But are you united?
But I can tell you one thing.
But are you united? Are you united?
Of course.
Are you willing to work under Rahul Gandhi?
Yes. Hear me out. Hear me out, hear me out, please hear me out. The question of united and are you willing to work under Rahul Gandhi are two very separate questions that need not necessarily come under the same, you know, it's not the same question, number one. The second thing is, are we united? Please hear me out. Bhupendra, please let me finish. Please let me finish. Yes, of course, we are united in that every single opposition party in this country today believes that the time has come for the BJP to go, and we will succeed in routing them in this election.
I just want to, you know, I want to be very clear. I want to be clear. I want to be clear. Yeah, I'm also being absolutely.
Can I just?
One more. You know, Gaurav, the story is that Rahul Gandhi may be repackaging himself. But then Rahul Gandhi needs to deal with the likes of a Mayawati, a Mulayam Singh Yadav, an Akhilesh Yadav, a Mamata Banerjee, maybe even a Naveen Patnaik, a Sharad Pawar. Now my question is that is Rahul Gandhi in a position? We can keep questioning Zafar Islam, we can keep looking for loopholes in this budget. But would you agree with me or not that the BJP is a brutal election winning machinery today? And in face of that brutal election winning machinery, despite facts which may be in your opposition, and yes, and Mohua Mitra can laugh, but that's the reality. You criticize, but the BJP wins the elections. Gaurav Gogoi, how will you beat that reality? Tell me.
They've just lost 5 today.
Bhupendra, the so-called brutal election machinery promised 150 seats in Gujarat and could not even cross 100. Right, so that is the
but if after 2 decades you win, if you still win 50% vote, I think they require
relationship with TMC, with SP, with Bhupendra, can I complete your answer?
Yes,
can
please.
I complete the question?
Yes, yes, yes.
So I was saying that Congress party enjoys a special relationship with TMC, with SP. It has worked with BSP. It is talking to all the other major UPA parties as well. And not only does Rahul Gandhi ji, but Sonia Gandhi ji also have an excellent relationship. So even amongst the senior generation of leaders, you see a great relationship between a Sonia ji and Mamta ji, and even amongst the next generation, you see a budding relationship between Rahul Gandhi and Akhilesh.
Are you confident? I'm asking you a simple question.
So at all levels of the leadership structure,
you and Trinamool Congress are both questioning the BJP on budgetary front, but I'm asking you a direct question in front of Mahua Mitra, that do you believe Rahul Gandhi can be the leader of a front in which Mamta Banerjee is also an important cog, or will Mamta Banerjee be the leader of that front? Straight question, Gaurav Gogoi.
You have seen today that there was a meeting in which the UPA chairperson was Sonia ji, and there was a TMC representative, and Rahul Gandhi ji was there. So definitely for Congress, our Prime Ministerial candidate is Rahul ji.
Okay.
But as we reach 2019, when it comes to electoral strategy, we will say all our parties will sit together and form it.
And Nonetheless,
is the momentum
for the sake of secularism,
the Congress
you
and
will
other
support the Congress
parties? Absolutely.
Mahua Mitra, Mamta Di will support Rahul Gandhi for the sake of secularism.
That is, look, the time is not it. I'm not the right person to speak on this. There is something on which the chairperson of our party will comment on it when the time comes. The chairperson of our party,
that suggests everything.
Not at all. Bhupen, if I ask you something,
Bhupen, that is the reality.
That is not at all. Not at all.
That is the reality.
That is the time is. Our chairperson will comment on
this. They cannot live
Okay.
together.
Okay.
The chairperson of our party,
Bhupen, can I just
the
come in?
chairperson of our party will answer that question when the time is right. That is not something
own
that I can
allies.
answer.
Okay.
BJP should worry about its own
Yeah,
allies.
of course,
They are leaving them.
I'm asking.
TDP is unhappy.
From the TDP to the
BJP
Shiv
should
Sena.
worry
From
about
the
its own
TDP to the
allies.
Shiv Sena, I'm
We
raising
are
that
quite
question. But I must raise
comfortable
question on
with
both
everyone.
sides. Zafar Islam has a point. Yes, Zafar. Go ahead, Zafar.
No, Bhupen, all I'm saying that she didn't want to answer. Because they can criticize BJP together, but they cannot live together. It is like, I'll just give an example how the opposition look like. It's like a thali. How many people prefer thali when you go to a restaurant? Nobody. A percentage is not even 1%, and that is the way it represents the opposition today.
I mean, I'm just saying, don't you think, Mahua ji,
cannot sit together.
Don't you think there should be
what the BJP is?
Bharatiya Janata Party's
BJP is an
popularity
empty
is increasing,
packet.
and we
It
are
is full
not.
of gas and full of air. There's absolutely no substance.
So BJP is
just an empty packet of air. It's just full of air. No substance. You have not delivered on any of your promises. 2 crore jobs, 15 lakh in everybody's account, black money, all air, no substance. That's the reality of BJP.
You know what? Don't you think, Mahua,
what have you done in for 4 years?
If there would have been a joint opposition press
Agriculture is
conference,
declining. You can't even stick to a fiscal
shouldn't there have been a
deficit.
joint opposition press
Demonetization
conference?
has taken
Let's say Barack O'Brien, Mr. Chidambaram, everyone would have come together. I would believe it. I would believe the opposition. But my point is, while I criticize the BJP, and maybe that's the reason why. That's the reason why the BJP wins election.
Can I just explain?
One moment,
is the economy slowing down?
One moment.
Is the economy slowing down?
Mahua.
I can't hear anything, Bhupen.
No, I'm just saying.
I couldn't hear anything with all the shouting and screaming.
There is a sea voter survey exit poll which has been done on this budget itself, and look at the figures of that question being raised is, has budget affected your monthly home expenses? Lower income group are saying yes, 57%. Lower income group saying, a majority of them saying yes, indeed it has had a negative impact. The other question that was raised was, is your kitchen, those who manage their kitchen, has budget affected upon your monthly home expenses? Middle income group, 45% saying yes, 47% saying no. Now, in this kind of an environment, obviously it shows it shows that there is some degree of unease which exists within India. I am asking you, if this unease exists, don't you think the opposition's cause would be much better served if you all were to have a joint strategy, which you don't seem to have? That's a simple point I'm raising before you move on, Mitra, today.
Bhupen, I don't agree with that statement. I think in a country like India, I'm very proud that there's a thali. No, I don't agree. Let me finish. Please let me finish. I wait for everyone to finish. You've asked me a question. Please let me answer. Please. I do think in a country like India, our strength is a plurality. I think what the BJP spokesperson said aloud today is exactly what is so wrong with his party, that they've got a one-size-fits-all. We're a democracy, and all us opposition parties have we have an exceedingly good relationship with the Congress and with various other parties, and we've all got our own strategy, and it's not for the BJP to comment on it. I suggest they would
Viewers of CNN-News18 today, I think are getting a clear picture.
You're a political analyst.
Why there is a hesitation in accepting Rahul?
I'm listening, Moha. Yes, Moha, go ahead.
Can I finish, sir? Please, can I finish?
If you are talking about
plurality, then
you must say Rahul Gandhi has
your air got punctured in Gujarat. You could not even cross 100.
Let Moha complete.
BJP is about Rahul Gandhi.
Let's reduce the audios and the others. Moha Mitra.
BJP is insecurity about
Yes, Moha, go ahead. Moha, quickly complete your point, Moha.
It shows in the spokesperson's words.
Okay, Moha Mitra is speaking.
No, I'm trying to compete. It's people are going on shouting. Yeah. I think that any spokesman of any political party or any political commentator would be exceedingly naive in which they expect a spokesperson of one party to answer as to who the leader of another party would be. That is something when the time comes, our chairperson will make a decision on. I would like to ask the BJP spokesperson that in their party there's every single decision which is taken from panchayat level to the Prime Minister as to who will even attend a meeting is decided by Mr. Modi, and they're sitting here and expecting me to answer a question as to who the Congress
we can mount all the criticism against the BJP. We can question the math, Shankar, but doesn't this debate actually tell you? Prime Minister Modi, by the way, has also gone on record. He's asking his MPs to go to the people and explain to them how this budget is pro-poor, how this budget is meant for their own welfare. Who, according to you, wins this debate between these two sides then?
So basically, they are ideologically aligned against the BJP. But how they will come together politically
is still a big
question. And I think Zafar Iqbal really should go to Gujarat and have a Gujarati thali.
Okay, and which is not empty thali, which is full of Gujarati delicacies.
Bhupen, it's a matter of confidence. Look at the Trinamool Congress. They're winning everything in sight, and they're winning bigger and bigger. So they're just bursting with confidence. Now the Congress, which has been losing consistently, has started winning. You know, today in Rajasthan, they won 3 out of 3. In Gujarat, they put up a creditable show. Now, if they go ahead and win in Karnataka, you know, then we'll give them more confidence. You know, it's a lot of it is a matter of confidence.
Well, you give me a lot of meat for another debate, which I will do tomorrow, but final 30 seconds to you, Patnaik. A lot of viewers are asking us this question, that I must put this question to you, that do you believe even in 2018, when so much has been spoken against populism, for the last 4 years, Narendra Modi, Arun Jaitley, everyone has said that, you know, this populism is as bad as terrorism. Is this 2018 budget typically an election-oriented populist budget for you?
The budget speeches, but not the budget itself really. It's not that all those big numbers, and you've been talking about the math, that it's not that all the announcements have got translated into very large expenditures. Okay, so it's really that, yes, of course, the speech was full of what populism should be in a pre-election year. But when I look at the numbers, I'm a little relieved. It's not as big in terms of borrowing as it could have been if it had really been put.
Okay, 10-second final comment from you, Zafar Islam.
It's not even big.
Bhupen, as Ila rightly pointed out, that in terms of our approach from day one, we have tried to reduce the revenue expenditure. We have ensured that the borrowing remains within the limit. Even this year, despite all the commitments we have made, the borrowing has not gone up, and even the fiscal consolidation, path of fiscal consolidation has been maintained. Even though we are targeting the poor and the farmers, and their all their concerns have been addressed.
Well, I'll tell you what, whether it's being maintained or not being maintained, there is one man who perhaps is in a better authority than Zafar Islam to answer that question about whether the math is working or not, and that is Railways Minister, BJP's veteran election manager come administrator, Railways Minister Piyush Goyal. He's our big newsmaker on the other side of this break. Thanks to all of you for joining us on our special budget presentation. Up next, Railways Minister Piyush Goyal with all the answers to where the math is coming from and whether this Rajasthan by-poll result in any way could be looked at as an indictment of sorts of Modi Sarkar's policies for the last 4 years. Mr. Goyal, Bhupendra Chaubey here. Thank you so much for taking time out, sir, and congratulations. Congratulations on your budget. But while I congratulate you on bringing out this budget, Mr. Goyal, I must also bring you up to speed with popular opinion which is coming up across social media. And everyone is saying that this appears to be a budget which is anti-middle class, which is pro-poor, because BJP is panicking that the rural voters may be shifting away from the BJP. So I want to know, Mr. Goyal, are you panicking? Are you worried today?
Well, I think rural India also is a lot of middle class. So just because some people feel that they have not got anything extra, I do not think it becomes anti-middle class. Also, Bhupendra, you draw a salary, your other colleagues draw a salary, the cameraman, the guest coordinator, all of you draw a salary. When you get a 40,000 rupees standard deduction, I'm sure it's not anti-middle class. When small businesses, and which are mostly run by middle class people, get a 5% reduction in their tax outgo, I don't think it's anti-middle class. When we have been able to bring down inflation from double digit to barely 3-4% and control inflation, I don't think it's anti-middle class. So I think this government has focused, as I said earlier, on every section of society.
But sir, 1% increase in education cess, 10% long-term capital gains tax. Don't you think that moves like these will impact the EMI draw? I mean, people like me, I mean, we survive on the basis of EMIs. If you keep reducing our ability, maybe to supplement our income, will there not be a perception that you are working against the interests of this middle class, whether it's in urban pockets or rural pockets?
Bhupendra, 1% increase in cess on 33% in terms of an additional burden on the total income is not even is just about 0.1% of your income. But on the contrary, you will get 40,000 rupees as a standard deduction, which will be far more than this 0.1% of your income, which may be an increase in cess, which also in a way you are paying so that the poor can get 5 lakh rupees per family as healthcare, free healthcare. I'm sure you will not grudge a 0.1% increase in your income tax on your income.
I've already tweeted,
so
Mr.
that
Goyal,
some poor family,
absolutely,
if in distress, will get free healthcare.
I've already tweeted, sir, that the message from Modi Sarkar, sir, appears to be that if you are drawing money, I mean, if you're making money, then you must be ready to contribute for nation building. Contribute more for nation building. Is that the message?
And Bhupendra, no, but Bhupendra, I'll just correct your perception about long-term capital gain also. We did a serious assessment of the total long-term capital gain benefit, and we found that people like in the middle class, like you and me, we don't make long-term capital gain into that large an amount. So therefore, that 1 lakh rupees has been kept tax-free, and then beyond that, when we make capital gains, I'm sure we will not grudge paying a nominal 10% tax, because after all, a farmer, a laborer who toils in a factory, a middle class person who's working in a job, a small industrialist who's putting his sweat and blood in running his small factory, all of them are paying taxes. So when you do a paper transaction or an investment transaction on the stock exchange and make hefty profit, I'm sure 10% tax is not something we will grudge. More so when this tax is largely going to be paid by very rich people, by foreign investors, by institutional investors, who are otherwise getting away tax-free totally.
Okay, but how would you then respond to the critiques like Mr. Deepak Parekh, who's just spoken to Network 18, and he has said that this move of imposing 10% tax on long-term capital gains tax is going to lead to negative sentiment for the economy, to the extent that there may be even a slowdown in terms of foreign direct investment which is coming in?
Well, I think it's only on the profit that an income tax is charged. And when there is an opportunity to make big profits in India, nobody is going to do a slowdown or stop coming to India. Secondly, it is the rich people like Mr. Deepak Parekh possibly who will be having to pay this 10% tax. I'm sure he can contribute a little bit to nation building. And his companies HDFC, HDFC Life, which are having tripled the profits in the last quarter compared to last year. I think you might have read HDFC has tripled its profit in last quarter. Now such large companies, if they pay a little nominal tax on the long-term capital gains that they make, I'm sure they should not grudge it. And any such money which goes to help the farmer, which goes to help the poor, which helps us give a 40,000 rupee standard deduction to the lakhs and crores of people who are surviving on salaries, including the thousands and lakhs of people working in HDFC Bank and HDFC Life and HDFC Housing Company. I'm sure those lakhs of people will enjoy the benefit of this 40,000 rupee in standard deduction, even though their company may have to pay a little tax on their huge profits.
Would you throw some light, Mr. Goel, in terms of where the money is going to come from, sir, to support all these moves? 1,05,000 crore for SC/ST development, 50 crore families, 5 lakh insurance cover. It's a lot of money. Where is the money coming from? MSP, one and a half times you want to increase the MSP prices. I can tell you, there are economists now who are openly saying that if this MSP was to be increased by this percentage, as is being suggested by the government, it will lead to huge inflation. Where is the money coming from in the budget, sir?
Well, first of all, as you are aware, we have brought inflation down from double digit to barely 3 or 4% over the period of our 4 years in government. Second, none of our budgets have slipped in terms of revenue collection. Even this year we have met our revenue collections. You are aware GST is collected for 1 month less. That's a statistical exercise. The March GST will come in April. Earlier excise and service tax used to come in the same month. So we have met all our projections. This is a fiscally prudent government. And the biggest thing we have offered is a corruption-free, honest, good governance agenda, because of which we don't have any problem of funds at any time. It is the old days when corruption used to rule the roost, where governments had to slide in their fiscal deficit targets, like the Congress did in 2008, just before the 2009 election. Our governments have been fiscally prudent.
You're a veteran, Mr. Goel, of managing many elections. So let me ask you a political question as well, away from the numbers. And that's the story of the bypolls, sir. In Rajasthan, BJP losing all 3 elections. You are trailing in all 17 assembly segments. If I was to break down the Lok Sabha seats in the assembly segment, BJP trailing in all 17 assembly segments. What's the message that you pick up, Mr. Goel, from this then?
Well, we'll have to go into the reasons for this result, and certainly the party leadership will take it very seriously. But our focus in budget making, our focus in policy making is always what is good for the nation and what is good for the people. We never prepare policy or budgets, or our decisions are never focused on one or the other election. The election results will be assessed in its entirety and will take necessary corrective action, if any.
How close are we, sir? How close are we? We saw the Prime Minister speak about one nation, one poll. We saw the President speak about one nation, one poll. Now I look at this budget. I look at the pro-poor, pro-farmer tilt in this budget. If I was to ask you, that is the BJP preparing ground for simultaneous Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha elections by the end of this year, along with perhaps Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan?
Bhupendra, first of all, we have always had a pro-poor, pro-farmer tilt all through the 4 years in government. Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas has been our credo. In fact, we've got more criticism, as you yourself pointed out, for being focused on the poor and the farmer, by a certain section of society which has unfortunately disconnected with the reality of India. As regards simultaneous elections, we are committed. We believe that is good for the nation so that governments can focus on good governance and not be diverted by electoral compulsions. However, that will need an all-party consensus, and we are still some time away from that. For the present, I think there is no immediate possibility of that happening in the next year or year and a half.
Final question then to you, sir.
Unless we can get all the parties on board.
Fair
and
enough.
in April 2019 look at something happening.
Before I let you go, sir, the year 2017 ended with Gujarat. You won the state, yes, but many believe you won the state, yet there were many causes of concern. Now I look at Rajasthan by polls, it's just by polls at the end of the day, but again you're trailing there. If I was to draw an extrapolation that rural India is upset with the BJP, and then I was to say that this budget is only and only meant to woo that rural community, would that be a fair assessment?
Not at all. First of all, different states have given different results. Today rural seats won by the BJP are across the country, spread across the country, and the people of India supported us in a big measure. Let's say Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, these are all rural areas largely. So it's an evolving situation. A particular result will be assessed for what happened over there. But I think on the macro, on the overall, we have stayed the course. Throughout our 4 years, we have stayed the course. We have not let politics overtake good governance and good economics.
All right, Mr. Goel, always a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for joining us on this big budget day.